Have you ever wanted to like stretch out going to the grocery store and use some of the things that you already have in your house, but you ran out of ideas? This video, we're going to go through some of the things that I am going through in my kitchen right now and give you some tips on how to make meals that will use up those items. If you're just meeting me, my name is Amy Cross and this is the Cross Legacy, where I teach you how to save money on groceries. I have hundreds of videos here on the channel teaching you my produce tips. After I had a TED Talk on reducing produce waste, and I have a book called The Zero Waste Produce Guide. It teaches you all the tips on how to avoid going to the grocery store for weeks at a time. And that is how we're able to have zero food waste here at the house, but also stick to a grocery budget of $135 per person. And for the last 18 months, it has only been my husband and I here at the house. So our grocery budget has been $270 per month this whole entire time. Now we all have busy schedules and there's crazy life things happening. And right now we are exactly 16 days until we move out of this house and we are moving across the state to a new house. So last night I was starting to take inventory of what I had to see if I needed to go to the grocery store or if I could push it out a little bit further. Now we are getting to the end of August right now and I haven't went to the grocery store and bought produce in 25 days. In my brain, I say I go grocery shopping once every 3 weeks. There's something that goes on in my brain when I say it's only once a month that I kind of get into panic mode. But I normally am pushing that out that 4th week, so it's only once a month that I go to the grocery store. But it has been 26 days since I went to the grocery store, and now we are trying to push this out until we move so we're not having to pack any extra items that we don't need. And we're not going to have a refrigerator the first few days that we're in the new house. So we're going to be using a cooler. So I want to try to make sure that I'm using up things that I can use up before we move. We do have a chest freezer that we are moving that we have half a beef in, and that chest freezer I'm just putting off limits right now. So I had moved a little bit of beef up here to our kitchen refrigerator, and we're going to go through all the items that I have, but everything that's here in my kitchen is what I'm going to be using to make meals for the next 2 weeks. I think this is also a really good example that we're only using our kitchen refrigerator, our kitchen freezer. There is 2 drawers in my pantry that has a little bit of pantry items, a little area in one of the cabinets that has some pantry items, and then I have some vinegar and different condiment kind of stuff and a spice drawer, but a lot of my other cabinets here in the kitchen are actually empty. I've just been keeping the ones that you guys see on camera full. Now normally I would stand in front of my refrigerator filming this video, but it is so hot in here today. I know it is just going to ding like crazy and I don't want my refrigerator to work extra hard. So we are going to take some B-roll to show you the things that I'm talking about. I would love to stand in front of the cool refrigerator right now, but I don't want to damage the refrigerator. This is my grocery planner that I keep all of my notes in. So I have like my August grocery shopping list that I had when I went to the produce stand and Costco at the beginning of the month. And then I started making 3 other pages of everything I had in my kitchen. So I started this list with the most important things first, which were the eggs and the dairy that I wanted to make sure that I was using up and not forgetting about. So I have eggs, I have a couple different kinds of cheese, I have cottage cheese and Greek yogurt, and I wrote those all down on the list. And then as I was writing these down, I did find some more mozzarella cheese in the freezer, so I put that on the list also. I made sure to write down the random things that I had in the refrigerator, like artichoke hearts and capers and sauerkraut and pickles. Those are on the list. And then any condiments that I had in the refrigerator. And we do have 1 open bottle of salad dressing right now. Normally I make most of my own salad dressing, but we did get a Caesar salad dressing that we have in the refrigerator. So I wrote everything down, including the barbecue sauce, ketchup, mustard, and it's all on this list. And then I made another column here and I started with all of the fresh produce items that I have in my refrigerator. So I have everything from the lettuce and spinach and parsley and cilantro. There's corn on the cob. There's lemons, peppers and peaches, and there's some carrots and celery. There's some onions that are already cut up, avocados, All of those things are at the top part of this list, but as I started going through the rest of the kitchen, I wrote down that I had zucchini and sweet peppers and onions and garlic. And then I found some ginger in the freezer, so I just went ahead and put that on the produce list. There's also some cauliflower and some peas that are in the freezer. And then I went through some of the canned items. I have tomatoes and diced tomatoes, tomato sauce, tomato paste. There are some beans, and I wrote everything down that is a produce item on this list. Then I made a column of all of the different bread items that I have, and rice and pasta all in one list. So that goes from tortillas that I have some ramen, there's a little bit of spiral pasta, all of the things that I have on hand. And then there was some bread in the freezer and some hoagie rolls. So I made sure to list all of those out. And then for the frozen meat, I put that on a list all on its own over here. So I did pull out 2 pounds of ground hamburger, and I have that in our kitchen refrigerator, and none of the other beef that's in the downstairs freezer I'm planning on touching. And then I have some drumsticks, some chicken breasts, there's a couple different kinds of sausages in there, there's some pork chops, and we are going to try to use up all of these items in the next couple weeks so we don't have to move them. So I was really trying to think about meals that I could make with these items. And then I have some roast beef that's already cooked that we're going to pull out and use those hoagie rolls to make some French dip sandwiches. And I also have some Mexican quinoa that we like to make on nachos. So we're going to use that either for stuffed peppers or for nachos one night. And that is all cooked and ready to go. And then I went through my entire pantry and I wrote down everything that we have on hand. So we have honey and sugar and flour and self-rising flour. We have salt, we have pepper, we have an entire spice drawer full of all the spices that you could want, and all of those baking staples that we need. I wrote down the olive oil that we have on hand and the different vinegars and things that I have. So I'm going to take this list and make a meal plan for the next 2 weeks and get some ideas of things that I can make for dinners and lunches and even some snacks along the way. Now, that might have seemed like a lot of writing. Normally I have all of our ingredients on a Google sheet, so I can just go down it and see if I'm missing anything or low on something. I do this once a year, normally in January, and I will really take a deep dive into our inventory that we have on hand, especially those dry pantry items that we have. But this was a good opportunity for me to see exactly what I had here in the kitchen, and we have some extra pantry items that I have already boxed up and they are getting ready for the move. Now, if you have no idea how to start a pantry and have those basic staple ingredients that you should have on hand all the time, the grocery planner does have a list of all the things. And as I was going through the list, I realized the only thing I didn't have on this list was rolled oats. Rolled oats is something that we don't normally use a lot in the summertime, and so I had packed those up already. But all the other ingredients that are basic ingredients that you should have in your house, I have here in the kitchen. So as I was going through this, I was also looking, and I found one more freezer meal that was all ready to go. That was a chicken caprese dinner that I had made, and I put that in the refrigerator so we could have it tonight for dinner, and all I have to do is warm it up. That recipe I had shared on our Meals 16 video that will be coming up before this video goes out, so you'll be able to see it, and the recipe will be coming out for that. Every 2 weeks we put up a new video showing the recipes that I'm using with the ingredients that I have in this house, and we share new recipes through our newsletter, so make sure you're signing up for that. I have some tortilla chips in the cabinet, and we have that Mexican quinoa that I have that is all frozen. So this is a meal that I actually made in May, and now we are getting into September and we are going to have it for dinner. And it's lovely that I can make one meal and then end up putting some into quart-sized Ziploc bags, and this is enough for us to have for another meal. So instead of us worrying about having leftovers in the refrigerator we might not eat right away, I just freeze the portion that we need for dinner. So oftentimes I'm making dinner for one night, but we are having leftovers later and months later for months to come. But this is a quart-size Ziploc bag that I do use in my freezer. And if you freeze them flat like this, then you're able to either keep them stacked like this, or I like to put them vertically like a file in a container in my freezer, and then it's really easy to flip through and see which one you want to use. This is something else that I do with Ziploc bags. Now don't come after me from the plastic police. I do use mostly glass containers in my freezer, but this is one thing that I do every year is I do a ham Easter time and Christmas, and all of the extra, I make sure that I chop it up and I put it into snack size bags that are in a gallon size bag so it doesn't get lost in my freezer. And these little packages are perfect to add to breakfast burritos or quiches, but I also like to make fried rice with them. And I know I have a little bit of cauliflower rice left in the freezer. And I also have some frozen peas, and we have carrots and celery, so it'd be really easy to make this into a meal. So this page of the planner is where I'm keeping track of those meals that I know that are already prepared and I can just make something really easily. So I have the Mexican quinoa nachos. I have the chicken caprese, which I already put an arrow over because I moved that to the refrigerator to start defrosting already. And then I have roast for a French dip that's already cooked and sliced. So I just need to make some au jus sauce, and I have hoagie rolls. So those are 3 meals that I have that are already completed and ready to go. It also helps you keep track of things in your pantry that you want to use up and things in your refrigerator that you might have forgot about that you want to use up. So I love this page to help remind you of things that are really pushing their limits and you need to use them, or meals that are ready to go. And then on the weekly meal plan, I normally try to figure out how many times I'm making dinner that week. So if we have a special event like a birthday or something, then I just cross off one of the boxes. And I do not actually like to meal plan that much. So I'm not somebody that knows exactly what I want to wear tomorrow. I don't know how people know what they want to eat like in the next week. So I normally plan the meals around fresh produce that we have that need to be used up, and meat that we have to pull out of the freezer, or meals I already have ready. And since I stock so many ingredients that we can use multiple ways, I can change my mind at the last minute. So I'm normally trying to think what meat I need to pull out of the freezer if it needs to defrost. And other than that, I'm not getting too bogged down exactly by a recipe that I'm planning on making. Now, I will say writing down all these things and figuring out exactly what I had in my kitchen only took me about 15 minutes. It really wasn't that much time. And that's going to end up saving me like hundreds of dollars if we were going to get takeout a lot over the next 2 weeks, because we are moving and it feels like everything's being used up in the house. You know, all the excuses that we give that takeout is a good thing to do, but this will end up saving us a lot of money and using up the items that we have in our house. So once you have the basic ingredients that you normally have in your house, I would either put them on a list that you can take a picture of, or put them on a spreadsheet where it's really easy to access it from your computer, because we're going to do a couple different things with that to help you get more meal ideas. So I actually wrote these lists out, and then I took pictures and I put it into ChatGPT. So I opened up ChatGPT and I put the pictures of my inventory sheets right into the prompt, and I said that we are moving in 16 days and we are trying to use up the inventory in our house without having to go to the grocery store, and to give me a meal plan for 16 days worth of meals. And it populated within seconds different meal ideas that I can use. Now, some of these I have better recipes for, but it did give me a couple new ideas that I can be able to make. I'm going to just read some of these and kind of talk through it, so I have to look at the screen. But some of the suggestions were a French dip night with that cooked roast beef, hoagies, and au jus sauce, a side of corn on the cob. We could do a cucumber tomato salad with feta and parsley. There's stuffed bell peppers. Filled the peppers with rice, taco meat, black beans, and cheese, topped with salsa, sour cream, Greek yogurt. Another option was a zucchini and tomato pasta base, which I actually just made zucchini boats the other night, and that's also on the Meal 16 video. Another option was barbecued chicken drumsticks, and I like that it gave me an idea to make a coleslaw when I don't have any cabbage, so I wouldn't have thought of making a coleslaw, but with carrots, celery, onion, and radishes. Gyro nights was another thing that I make really often. I have exactly 2 gyros left, and I was thinking about making pizzas with those gyros. So I have everything, including mozzarella cheese, to make 2 personal pizzas. Another option it gave me were sweet potato and black bean tacos, which sound really interesting. And then pork chops with apples and onions. We posted a recipe for something like this that was really delicious. A couple of the meals back, the meals videos, we call them by the numbers. So the current one is meal 16. The recipes that I'm going to be making from this ChatGPT suggestions is going to be on the meal 17 video. It gave me the option of making a French bread pizza night, which I'll probably end up using those pita breads to make the pizza, and I'll probably end up making sandwiches with the French bread. But again, it gave me a different idea that I wasn't thinking about. And then bacon and egg fried rice. I was just talking about that. Italian sausage and orzo skillet. I also have another orzo recipe that's on the blog that's really delicious, and I'm out of cream, but I do have coconut milk, so I could swap those out. Caesar salad with chicken, we have that very often. There's breakfast for dinner. There's an option for chili for dinner. It just depends on if it's 90 degrees or hotter. I don't know if I'll be making chili. There's an option for a Mediterranean artichoke and feta flatbread. That sounds kind of delicious, and I have all the ingredients that's suggesting for that. Slow cooker pulled pork barbecue sliders. Like, come on. These are like really easy things that we have ingredients for that can just throw in the crock pot and make meals. And for the last night here, the very last suggestion that it gave was to make a stir fry with any vegetables that we had left over. That just sounds perfect to clean out our refrigerator and know that we can have a fresh start when we get moved. And there was also some breakfast and snack ideas, like using the cottage cheese and Greek yogurt with a little bit of the granola that I have left. We are down to a half a gallon of milk, and so I haven't really been thinking about eating the granola with milk, so I like using the option of using the cottage cheese or the Greek yogurt with the granola. And there's egg muffin bakes, which I do all of the time. I'm probably going to end up making some zucchini bread or some zucchini muffins that we'll have those last few days. We have that recipe on the blog too. And there are a couple different options for different smoothies. We do that normally a lot, but I actually packed up our blender, so that might not be happening so much. All I have left here at the house is the Magic Bullet blender. And a couple other great options were different pancakes and waffle options for breakfast, but just kind of getting you out of that normal routine of thinking that there's nothing here at the house. There are actually lots of meals that I can make. And knowing how long a produce lasts really helps you be able to make sure that you have zero waste. So I made sure that I used things like the raspberries and blackberries and strawberries first in this, instead of trying to push it out the 6 weeks until we go grocery shopping and we still have blueberries left. And when we were at our grandma's house the other day, I did pick some blackberries that were in her backyard, so I was able to get just a few from her backyard, so it was neat to be able to bring some of those home. And I have zucchini out in my garden, and my friend keeps trying to give me zucchini, so we have plenty of zucchini right now to make a couple of different breakfast items. Oh, and we have a zucchini high protein brownie that is really good when we have a sweet tooth, because let me tell you, this is a very stressful time in our lives and we have a sweet tooth. This is my zero waste produce guide that has 75 produce items A to Z and how to keep them fresh for weeks, so we can have zero food waste here in the house. And then this is my lemon grocery planner, but there's actually 5 different covers that you can pick from to have a grocery and meal planner to make sure that you're using those ingredients that you're buying. The average family is throwing away over 40 to 60% of the food that they're buying because they're not rotating it and using it correctly. So I hope that you find helpful tips in our videos. Make sure you're checking out those meals videos. They are on an entire playlist that we put out every 2 weeks. And the link for the book and the planner is in the description with the discount code.